know what we call this in the United States? God's ketchup, right there.
I've never heard that before. I think he just made it up.
Is this how the other half lives all the time?
One of those things just never happened.
When somebody rips one, you know it, and it's not yours. It was like Bugs Bunny when you like smelled the carrot soup.
That is the most random thing. What are you talking about?
It's impossible.
So there we are. Tony is on the edge of a seat. We are barely alive.
There was a point where I had to sit down and I just couldn't do it anymore.
We're at a beautiful temple in somewhere in Bangkok. I have no idea where. And I'm looking around, and honestly, you ever like be in that moment? You just, you're high and you are not sure if you'll make it if liquid doesn't hit your mouth.
Oh, yeah. Very interesting. Yeah.
So it's hot out. We just had some spicy ass food. Of course, every moment and chance I get, I'm dipping my whole life here in sriracha. And between the spice and I'm sweating because it's hot out and I'm blitzed out of my... Don't believe anything you read on the internet. The weed is not soft and low in THC. That was not weed. I have never been that high.
Come on.
I have, but it's been a long time. And I don't know what was, dude, I thought I might, I literally had these thoughts. I literally thought to myself, will Tony know what to do? Will anyone know what to do if I have a seizure in the middle of this temple? So I was so fidgety. You're like, I need to sit. What did I do? I'm like, I'm going to fucking find water.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to find water right now. Because if I don't have water, it's over. It's over. So anyway, we sat there. I looked for water. It wasn't happening. Tony's hanging out. Little Coke Zero to wet the whistle. I mean, it's just making me thirsty thinking about it. We leave this temple. And at this point, I don't even know if we had a conversation. No. I think I just looked at you. You looked at me. You're like, I can't walk right now. I said, okay, cool. But I didn't know if I wanted to admit to you that I was in the middle of an existential crisis and that I was thinking about my cholesterol levels and I was thinking about if there's arthrosis or something developed in my heart muscle. And I looked at my beats per minute on my heart rate and it was 159. And I was just like, who's going to take care of me if something happens? And I looked over at you and I feel like you were staring out into space, like at like a cat or something. And I'm like, well, it's definitely not Tony.
Not right then.
Who's going to save me? No way. So I'm like, yo, I need water. And then we just
continued. How long do you think that whole thing was, start to finish? Like half hour?
What you mean, like that walk that we went on and where we decided to stop at the temple?
Like that whole existential crisis. Felt like 4 days. But
felt like, yeah, exactly. I was going to say, felt like Abraham or felt like Moses walking through the desert probably lasted about 17 minutes and 7 seconds. Yeah. But I was on the edge.
But we walked totally the wrong direction. So we weren't close to the place where we had to go.
And I feel like good friends, good men, brothers in arms, instead of oversharing and each of us coming to the united conclusion that we were both on like an interstellar acid trip, we both compartmentalized it. We both were sitting there in agony, not sharing with each other that we both thought we might die. I want to thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Because if you had said that, I might have gone into like a downward spiral. Yeah, because I would have been like, oh shit, now we're both going to die.
Right. But we're okay.
We made it
to dinner. We walked the wrong direction.
Everywhere.
Everywhere. But we went down some really cool streets with a lot of crazy awesome food offerings.
And I took a bunch of videos. So
I just couldn't really concentrate on it at the time. But I want to go back to that market. I don't even know what to call it. It wasn't a market. It was just alleyways full of food offerings.
Unending alleyways.
And it wasn't the place where we went today, which was called...
JJ Market?
JJ Market.
What was it called? How do you say? Chatuchuk.
Which was a massive food, not food, but stalls of marketplace,
and
clothing,
food stalls, everything
beauty
you can
products.
imagine.
It's a massive mall basically.
Yes.
So I thought I thought that was the same place, but it was by no means was it
No.
at all. It was completely different. I want to try to go back there at some point.
It was like, it felt like we were in the nooks and crannies of like real Bangkok.
Yeah, it did.
Right? Because it's always nice when you don't see a Homo erectus brethren. Seriously, you know what I mean? I've seen a lot of blue eyes. You know what I mean? It's nice to not see a blue eye for a while.
Okay. So we walked completely the wrong direction. Then we had to get to the restaurant with some degree of speed. So we got one of those little tuk-tuk things.
Yes. We got
which was nice because it was breezy. It was nice. Got to see a lot. It was a good little.
The guy tried to take us on
but you know.
Remember, he's like, "You like what was he trying to sell us? Fashion?
I don't know.
You like fashion?
He wanted to take us on a tour.
I'm like, I love fashion. He's like, another 100 or another 1,000 baht. I'm like, nope. Take us to the restaurant, pal.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, okay. He tried to sell us a couple things, and we were not having it.
No, we had to go somewhere.
Well, one, I couldn't even make eye contact with you because I was on an interstellar journey. And two, trying to communicate with a tuk-tuk driver when I was ready to toss my cookies because I drank a half a liter of water in one breath. It was just not going to happen. Right. So
it was a little bit like walking on the moon there. It was like a very crazy experience, but we made it through and it was fun.
Gosh,
I have to say at the end of the day.
I'm proud of us.
Going through it, I was a little bit like, I could use some Netflix and a bed right now, but we got through it. And we got to the restaurant and I was actually hungry again. So
yes,
it kind of worked. Not hungry, but not so full.
Well, I think part of it too was like we walked a lot yesterday. We probably did 15,000 steps yesterday, not including our workouts. And it's hot, so you're like sweating the whole time, and you know, like it's just sensory overload.
Yeah,
it is like so many personalities, and
there's food everywhere. There's little food carts and stalls and cooking happening all over the place. It's amazing.
And there was one moment where like you were buying persimmons, and I was just looking around at things, and I saw a stand, like a table full of dried fish, and it was like big squids that were dried and little squids that were dried and black squids that were dried and like scallops that were dried and shrimp of like 5 different sizes that were dried. And then I looked over one more stand, and it was like dolls, and it was cats in like a fucking 100 different colors of cats.
Live cats?
I don't know. No, they weren't live.
Okay.
But they certainly were talking to me. And then next to that was like a bonsai stand, and it was like 1,000 trees. And I just looked at these 3 stands, and I certainly could have spent the entire rest of the evening just there, just taking that in, just a big whiff of dried fish, a big look of feline frenzy, and you know, like just
so multiply that by
the
about 100, and that was the
100 blocks of
through.
that. Yeah. It was insanities, and that took
beautiful fruits. I mean, the fruits here are amazing.
I have to get strawberry.
Like perfect strawberries.
I'm getting strawberry.
Huge grapes.
Oh, dude! And remember, we were seeing
dragon fruit all over the place.
One of the things I'm really loving about
a lot of pomegranate juice also we saw.
Yeah, a lot of pomegranates. Gorgeous fruit. And which is not something that I was expecting, because at least up until now, my experience in Philippines has been that, of course, they have gorgeous jackfruit, gorgeous coconuts.
Lots of jackfruit too.
Lots of mangosteens, and a lot of great tropical fruit, but never see pomegranates, never see blueberries,
grapes,
never see strawberries, never see grapes, raspberries. Essentially all those like, what would you call them? Continental fruits, like seasonal fruits. Tropical, yes, but seasonal fruits, if you see them, they're in fancy hotels or fancy shopping markets, and they're expensive.
Beautiful.
And they're gorgeous.
On the
street. And they're everywhere.
Yeah.
But then I was seeing
durian, a lot of durian products all over the place in Thailand.
But these bags that they make of beautiful, like what looks like mango balls with like the shredded pork and then really tiny little dried shrimp.
I feel like I saw these fruits over and over again, but I just couldn't figure out what they were.
What do you think that is? What is that called?
I don't even know what it's called.
Sweet.
Have you had it before? You're familiar with it?
I'm glad we went into the deepest, darkest recesses of the Bangkok streets, and that's what we found.
It could be like a kind of tomato because they have cucumbers right next to it and some
Dude,
kind of
it
melon.
was. Is that cucumber or is that green papaya?
Next to it looks like cucumber because it has a skin on.
So there's all these really cool, and I would call them daring pairings if you're in the West, but here they're not. It's like this beautiful, again, going back to 5 friends in a bar punching each other in the face, having the time of their lives. It's like there's dried shrimp, there's chili oil, there's
Fish sauce,
mango, there's fish sauce, there's shredded pork, and it's in this like in imagine the bag when you're a kid, when your
Goldfish came in?
yes,
Goldfish?
yeah, like your dad's like finally caves into buying you a goldfish, and it comes in that wrapped little like plastic balloon. It's just that, but full of these incredible, delicate flavors, and not delicate flavors, like this incredible. Anyway, so then we walk by. Anyway, we saw all kinds of crazy shit. We end up at Samrub, and we were not ready for what was about to happen, which was another, Colleen, well done. Thank you so much. You have changed our minds about tastings. Another incredible
This recommendation for this place came
tasting.
from Matt Orlando, my buddy.
Oh, this came from Matt Orlando.
Yeah.
Rad. And Matt Orlando, how did you know Matt Orlando?
We used to cook together at Oriel, New York, before he went off to Denmark and worked at Noma, and then had his own restaurant there.
And what's Matt Orlando up to these days?
I think he was spending a lot of time in Singapore,
Okay.
but ended up not being here at the same time. But I said, we're going to Bangkok, and does he have any recommendations? And this is the place he said was the one place.
That he would go
Yes.
to. What? So let's start with, we got fucking awesome seats. We got this. So you walk into this restaurant. I would say it's about 40 seats.
40?
Yeah, like probably 15 to 16 seats at a bar that
How many?
overlooks the
I couldn't see
kitchen.
behind me. How many tables were behind me?
I
4?
want to say it was like
four tops?
Yeah, like four tops. So 30 seats altogether, probably. We walk in, it's already got vibing as soon as we walk in at 5:23. It's like already
Well,
starting
because
to fill
the
up.
seating's at 5:30, so everyone shows up at 5:30. Seating begins.
And then we just got slapped with like some of the most, everything in Thailand is so good, dude. How did you guys do this? It's incredible. So
You know, I'm reading the menu here from Samrub, and like even the words can't do justice to the flavors. It just doesn't really correlate. Like we don't have a language to explain the way that these flavors are coming across.
So the menu at Samrub Thai is called Burapa, Roads to the East, right? And so we sit down, and as soon as we sit down, they get us a snack.
They change the menu every 2 months.
Every
so
2
they run
months
the
at this
same menu
restaurant.
for 2 months, and then they'll adjust it. And I think that we were on the very tail end of this menu.
Which is cool. And so we sit down, and they bring out these beautiful rice crackers with calamansi juice and sesame seeds. See that?
Mm-hmm.
Calamansi made it to the party. And then it moves on to a gorgeous tasting. So
There were so many things on the menu. I was like, what do you mean we're going to get all this?
So what's cool is
I thought we had to choose. I didn't realize
so did I.
so many
No, we
things were
got
coming on the
everything
menu. Yeah.
on this menu. It was
And
like
then they said, we also have a special pad thai that we'll serve for you for an upcharge was pad thai, which we said yes.
hell yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I was Snoop Dogg at this moment. We sat down at this restaurant. I was just like ready to rock and roll. I had not eaten 4 bags of dried fruit.
Yeah.
And this was the first pad thai that we had was at Samrub. It was crab pad thai.
By the time it came at the end of the meal, I'd already forgotten that it was on its
Yeah,
way.
me
I was done.
It was
I had gone, we'll get to there, but I'd had so many different spices and combinations and so many different amazing flavors over the past 2 days. There was a point where I couldn't do it anymore.
yeah, I get it.
I couldn't take one more thing on my
Sensory
palate.
overload.
There was that dish at the end. I'll say when we get
Yeah,
there.
so So we start with the cracker, which was crispy, crunchy, and light. And then it moved into a rice rolled lobster with shrimp dressing and pickled cucumbers. Bomb. Crunchy, beautiful chew from the dumpling. It was, I mean, of course, the seafood here is fresh and pristine. And then these pickled cucumbers. It was, imagine how do we describe it? If a spring roll from Vietnam in texture met a ravioli.
Yeah.
And the flavors were like fermented cucumber and lobster and beautiful citrusy kind of dressing and dried shrimp. Crunchy, chewy. It was beautiful. Then we got grilled squid with ink and lime relish, which was also, I'm going to start looking at these pictures. And by the way, we're gonna post, hopefully, Johan, do your best, guys. We're gonna do our best to post some of these pictures on the YouTube channel so you can see what's going on. But here was the first course. Oh, you got the menu right there. Mm-hmm. Then we moved into the squid. So it was like a skewer of squid that was beautifully charred with this squid ink.
That felt like a little bit your Basque, kind of side you can get in.
My Basque, I was loving this one. So I loved that the squid was really nicely charred. It was super fun to eat because it's on a stick already for you. And the squid ink was like sweet and smoky, and I loved that dish. Then we move on to the next dish, which was mantis shrimp. And it might have been the first time I've ever had mantis shrimp.
Really?
Have you had it before?
I know we've seen them in the Philippines.
I've seen them so many times, and they
it?
look angry, and they're so expensive in Manila.
Wait. Are those the shrimp that they actually grow in like the bottles?
Yes,
That's right.
they're the ones that so there's this place in Manila called Dampa, which is like a fish market, and
Dampa is the restaurant. There's a fish market next to the restaurant.
Okay. So there's the fish markets, a wet market,
right,
which is all these dealers that sell abalone and scallops and crabs and lobster and shrimp and fish and lapu-lapu and all kinds of stuff. And when you walk in, there's, interestingly enough, these what look like half shrimp, half lobster, half roach, and they look like critters. I guess all of them look like critters, honestly.
They're kind of critters.
But they keep them individually in water bottles. And
it's almost like they grow in the water bottles.
It's
crazy.
So odd.
I keep meaning to look up how that happens, and I've forgotten.
The last time that we were at the Dampa, I asked, why do you keep these mantis shrimp inside of the water bottles? And they said it's because if you let them out, all they'll do is attack each other. Yeah, and they'll like try to kill everything and eat everything around.
So it's hard to grow them. You have to catch them wild.
You have to catch them wild, and then they put them into these water bottles to keep them
from fighting and killing
each other.
Yeah.
So we had this mantis shrimp, and I remember thinking it was so sweet and so delicate. What's the prep on that dish, Tony?
Mantis shrimp with garlic and white pepper.
Man, it was...
That's all you got. There's like
all
800 ingredients in that dish.
Dude, when I'm looking at this, I mean, it was all of these dishes were olfactory explosions. Sour, spice, and you got chili spice and dried spice in many of these dishes.
And I like how they would show you the spices. They'd come around between each course.
Yes.
And they'd have a little kind of tray with all the different spices that went into the dish. The curry, the whatever the sauce was. So they'd show you exactly the spices that were included in that dish.
Then I discovered my new favorite cocktail, my 2025 cocktail of the summer. Poof. And Marita, we thought of you if you listen to this, which you probably don't because you have a life. But it was coconut rum with coconut water. And ladies and gentlemen, if you ever wanted to feel good about yourself while having alcohol, this was like nature's Gatorade.
Yeah, you were sucking it back.
Bro, it was so good. The coconut water is refreshing. It's clean. It's light. It's a little bit floral. It's not sweet. And then the rum was just in there enough to remind you that you're being naughty. And fuck, I think I must have sucked down 4 of those things. It was fucking
You were like,
delicious.
where'd my drink go? I wasn't done with it. Like,
Yeah, I know. I was getting angry.
I kept thinking they were clearing your dish.
Delicious. And then we had this fucking beautiful rendition of fish. It was like smoked fish. It was grilled fish. It was a variety of...
This is the giant trevally.
I guess so.
I don't know what that means. Trevally?
Take a look at this one, this word. See if you know this one.
Giant trevally. And, well, I lost that menu now.
Yeah. So it had pomelo. So imagine if you went to... What's the best way to describe this? Imagine if you went to...
Some kind of
it's a
fish.
fish.
Right.
Okay.
So giant trevally and semi-dried gray mullet salad with sweet peanut dressing.
That was also a blast. And by the way, this whole time they're coming by to your seat offering you rice.
I think this is where the main courses began, and that's when they'd start offering you rice.
And what's really cool is, they would give you like a nice, like a, what would you say, like a cup of rice?
Like a half a cup.
Half a cup of rice. And the idea, of course, is like you use the rice as kind of like a way to bring all the flavors together. And dude,
soak up the sauce.
So this thing I think had ginger shoots. It had scallion. So it looked like a Cobb salad, but not on like if Thai Cobb.
God.
If Thai Cobb and fish, and it was so fun because you mixed this all together. It was delicious. I was a little bit scared of this dish because I thought it was going to be mackerel-y, and
oh, that's where we're having the mackerel conversation, right?
But it was not. It was fucking amazing.
Can I see the photo?
Meanwhile, you're sucking down passion fruit drinks.
Yes.
Like they're going out of style.
That was a great one.
Yeah, that was really.
So we just mixed all that up.
So, yeah, we mixed all the fish together with all the herbs, the ginger, the scallions, the red onion, the ginger shoots. And it also had pineapple. Remember, it had pineapple shoots.
Pineapple shoots, that's right.
It had pineapple shoots in there. So we're on a fantastical journey through Thailand in this tasting menu, and it was
fantastical.
It was. It's just Samrub did not disappoint. They then followed it up with what I thought was a really cool move, Tony. So I don't know if this was lemongrass. I don't know if this was a wild onion, but they made like a chicken meatball.
Chong coconut relish with crab meat and grilled chicken dumplings.
Grilled chicken dumplings. So they
were on a stick, right? The chicken dumplings were like a satay almost.
So yeah, it was like it reminded me of a kibe. Mm-hmm. Like that style, like a ground meat that's seasoned. They probably put like onion and ginger and scallion and all kinds of interesting flavors.
Had some spice to it.
Yeah. But then they wrap, instead of using like traditionally like a metal skewer or like a pincho, or like a wet bamboo, they actually used an edible garnish, which I didn't know what the fuck it was. But
it was some kind of stock.
Some kind of stock that
really perfumey, but it wasn't lemongrass or anything like that.
It was more on the flavor spectrum of licorice. It reminded me more of fennel bulb than it did like lemongrass.
So afterwards, after we ate the dish, we were left with these long skewer. They were probably 8 inches long, like kind of a thick straw, kind of a circumference.
Yeah.
And they told us to peel it open and eat out the center, almost like a heart of palm, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Eat out the middle of it, which was really great and refreshing.
Super refreshing.
It was like a little palate cleanser.
Dude, it was so cool. And so you're taking this this chicken meatball that's grilled on some sort of stock, not stock, STALK, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and then you're dipping it in this crab coconut curry, eating it, and then there's papaya that they sliced up and another. I mean, it was just, dude,
So
it
good.
was relentless.
Yeah.
It was a relentless onslaught of delicious, and it was a lot to take in.
Yeah.
I don't know how many ingredients I've had. My
All of them at this
I've
point.
had-
We only have more to go here.
Yes. Okay. So then they followed up with this beautiful soup, really rich consomme of beef cheek,
A little sweet.
a little touch sweet. It reminded me of a pho broth a little bit,
Yeah.
with like sliced cilantro and crispy garlic or something on top.
So the menu description is
Yes.
a beef cheek soup with bustard cardamom.
Okay.
Never heard of that. Served with fermented chilies.
It was delicious. By the time this course hit, I ate through that delicious, rich, gelatinous, collagen-heavy beef cheek, and I was like, I could have passed out
Yeah, that was good.
in that
Yeah.
moment.
This is
and-
the point where I had forgotten that we ordered the extra pad thai, and we still had a few courses to go.
The chef's walking around. He's super nice, and guess what? I think we're at this point. We're just halfway through the tasting, because next we're gonna have, of course, no tasting is no Thai experience. I feel like at this point is complete without its signature prawns. So we have this beautiful curry with chilies and with basil and with what looked like a dark roux curry. It was like a dark brown, if you remember that dish. And it was just like a beautiful stir fry.
Song Tong Jungle Curry with tiger prawns and pineapple shoot.
Man,
So this is the one when they brought the spice rack around to show you what went in it. It was star anise and peppers. Oh, you have that dish
Yeah.
too. And clove. And it was just all these kind of
incredibly
intense
complex.
star anise, cinnamon,
Yeah.
another cinnamon and star anise and wild ginger, Bengal roots, chilies, of course, something called licorice weed, something that looks like long pepper, which I've had. It doesn't. There's nothing written on that.
They said something about Thai oregano. I remember.
Wild celery. I think that was on a different dish, but
What was
and-
cool is in between these dishes,
oh, cloves, cardamom. There was the coriander seeds, wild celery, licorice weed.
licorice weed.
And by this point, this was such a rich, like kind of a dark,
Yes. It was like a
almost
dark
like
roux.
it goes to like holiday because the star anise and the clove and stuff.
Yeah.
Because that kind of like really intense spice. I was just like, all right, that's it for me. I've tried them all. I've tried a whole grocery store worth of a whole market's worth of different spices and flavorings now.
And by this
it was time
time-
to go to bed.
By this time the our inner thoughts with Timothy Leary and our transcendence of the human plateau, we were slowly coming back down from the playa and grounding into Bangkok. We were hitting Earth again. So, what was a surreal kind of mindset, we were starting to chill a little bit.
I couldn't eat anymore after that, but I did.
Well, and then so the
I took
next
a little break on the next course.
you took a break on the next course, and like a good Spaniard,
You didn't.
I stepped in when
And I really wanted to
you
eat this
needed
course. I really wanted to try the
reinforcements.
but those flavors were just so intense and such a departure
needed
from
a break.
everything. I couldn't. I needed a break. I needed a moment. This was braised abalone with dried bamboo shoots served with scallops.
So these scallops, first off, I mean, the seafood here in this country is like,
It's
stellarly fresh.
Yeah.
And I think with the river basins and all the things going on around both there's this freshwater mixed river delta water, and then, the ocean or the bay, there's everything is available here. And from the crab so in this case, we're looking at this beautiful, tender braised abalone. It was so delicate.
I haven't had. I can't remember the last time I had abalone. I really wanted to try that.
The texture reminded me so much of like a king trumpet mushroom, like that little bit of chew, the little bit of toothsomeness, but still super delicate. And then the scallop was just like super sweet, super.
Oh, I'm glad you had
flavorful.
double. I'm glad you had double your
I was here
serving.
for you, my
Thank you.
friend. Okay,
I appreciate that.
listen. And then the broth was really delicate. It was almost like it reminded me very much of like just a really rich shellfish stock, not super flavored. I mean, we went from an incredibly dynamic, aggressively curry spiced like prawn dish.
They knew when to take their foot off the gas.
Yeah, and then they just go boop. Guess what? You just went from, like Ewing Malmsteen in the middle of a fucking epic rock metal solo, and now we're in the basement. We're in the hotel lobby, Four Seasons, and we're just chilling with a little bit of Miles Davis on 2. It was pretty wild of a change in pace, and it was nice. It was delicate. It was refreshing. And then Tony's like, "Oh, that's the last dish," but it wasn't. Then we got hit with our first pad thai. Can you believe it? It took 1, 2, 3, 4 meals before we got pad thai. Not a traditional pad thai. This fucking pad thai was probably the best pad thai
It was so good.
I've ever had in my life. Huge nuggets of tempura fried crab.
Really, really lightly battered tempura.
Super
Like
thin
barely
batter.
there.
And just enough
But
crunch.
like whole, like it was so lightly done that the
Yes.
chunks of crab didn't bust open.
It's almost like they did it to preserve the cluster.
Yeah.
And these, how would you describe the size of the nuggets of crab we've been enjoying? Like, how big would you say they are? Like, I'd say, they are
Like a thumb,
like a thumb.
like a half a thumb.
Yeah, they're
Not my thumb, your thumb. Whole thumb of your thumb and half of my thumb.
okay. Got it. Yeah, they are.
Like a baby's thumb.
They're bigger than a baby's thumb. They're like the size of candy.
Yeah.
They're like the size of candy. Like
They look like these beautiful little puffy marshmallows.
oh, bro. So this pad thai had these jumbo lump crab nuggets, cashews, green papaya, a whole fried egg, and they are such like technicians with their egg here. They figure out how to fry this fucking thing, and it looks like a tempura soft shell crab.
It did.
It's like
Yeah.
browned and golden, and it looks like a beignet.
Yeah.
It's like so golden and beautiful. And when Tony was cracking this thing open, I was ready for it to be like a whole soft shell crab
yeah.
in the middle of this. And all before you know it, God's ketchup is oozing out. A yolk is just creaming this entire thing, like a carbonara effect, is like making this incredible creamy kind of emulsified pad thai experience that, God.
X is on his 5th coconut rum drink by this time.
Oh, hell yeah.
So
here's Tony mixing up the pad thai.
Nice.
And then, of course, there's scallion in there. There's cilantro in there. It was fucking fantastic. And Tony at this point had given up. Tony was ready to, he's like the samurai that has been fighting for 6 months. It's cold out. He hasn't had a square
I was ready to
meal
pack it in
3 weeks. He's now up against Koopa in the Super Mario Brothers. It's the last challenge, and he's got nothing left in the tank. And he looks up, and he's like, just fucking take me out. I want to die with honor. Just slice this fucking head off. And this crab pad thai came out, and it's like all of a sudden, somebody passed you a mushroom. Like Luigi went from bloop, 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 and you were back. You were back.
I rose to the occasion for about 20 minutes. Then,
Look at that.
yeah, amazing.
Do you see that crab? Hold on, you guys gotta, we're gonna show you on the, I know it's hard to see, but man,
there we go.
it was incredible. I am so glad this was my first pad thai experience in Thailand, and I'm so saddened that this was my first pad thai experience in Thailand, because it was So fucking
So the
good.
rule with pad thai is that you buy it on the street and it shouldn't cost more than 100 baht. Does that sound right?
I love
That's-
Colleen put this really cute little pad thai 101 thing together for us. And one of the points was you should never pay more than 100 baht for pad thai. So it's more like pad thai 100, not pad thai 101. But anyway,
And apparently, the place where we ate yesterday, Jai Phai,
J-Fi.
where I'm like, what's that other line for? And they said that that's the place that invented pad. I don't know. This is pure conjecture, rumor, perhaps.
Right. This was
there's a
on the
famous
street. The streets be talking.
Yeah, there's a famous pad thai place right next to there also for being the first. I don't know how that's possible, but that's the story I heard. We're gonna have to research that one.
Stories are good. Stories are welcome here on the Overseasoned podcast. So after we destroy this delicious pad thai, and by the way, there were these mung beans in there too that were just like crunchy, and it'll be hard to top that pad thai. I don't know if I'll be eating pad thai unless I'm back here.
So
I don't want to be
we have
disappointed.
2 more meals left. We're going to eat tonight at a reservation you made. That is that Isaan food as well?
Let me look it up. So I don't know. I just remember reading that it is a classic. It's a classic Bangkok restaurant that, like, all walks of life, like, daytime workers to
Normal restaurant.
it's supposed to be like it's a classic expression of Thai cuisine.
So one last dinner here, and you can only have one thing. Which way do you want to go? From all the dishes that we had, and you only get to choose one, maybe 2, but one main dish.
Oh, I get to have one thing over again?
Yeah.
Man, Tony, I don't know. If I had to choose...
We didn't even get to the lunch we had today.
Let's talk about it real quick.
Okay.
So then we went to Chatuchuk Market today. Beautiful outdoor weekend market. And we had maybe touched on it a little bit earlier, but you can pretty much get anything you want here. You want Hello Kitty socks. You want a phone case for your iPhone 2 that was released in 2007.
Coconut ice cream. Squid. Grilled
chicken gizzard.
Octopus.
It is a fantastic place to allow your eyes.
Just ramble on through.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And we had a great coffee. Again, a great coffee. Walked around and what was the point of me touching on that?
We're going to lunch.
Oh, so then we went to lunch, and we went to a place called Lei Lao, right? Which is supposedly one of the few Isaan, classic Isaan food restaurants that's still in Bangkok, because it's, I guess, a more regional kind of food preparation or food style. And Isaan is the northeasternmost region of Thailand, and is supposedly one of the most respected styles of food. It's very aggressively flavored, lots of lime juice. No coconut milk. So lots of lime juice, lots of chilies. This is where lab, which is one of my favorite dishes, and we finally, for the first time, had that today.
Mm-hmm.
Lab is essentially a meat, it's ground meat. So chicken, you can have it with pork or beef, and they cook it in fish sauce and lime juice and soy, and it creates this really cool salad effect, right? It's kind of like a salad, but it's it's hard to describe.
Cold ground meat, sweet,
super
spicy,
refreshing.
Yeah,
Thinly sliced red onion on it, scallions usually, maybe ginger makes it to the party. At this point, we've had 1,000 spices, 1,000 flavors. I don't remember anything anymore. Oh, and this is also where we're starting to use sticky rice as our vessel for eating foods and stuff. And we had a great meal today at Lei Lao. So let's cover some of the delicious foods that we had today for lunch. So we had, for starters, one of the guys that we were recording with said, you have to try this dish. And this dish happened to be raw shrimp with bitter gourd. Two things that usually my brain says, not a good idea. I don't like bitter gourd. Never have. It's too bitter. It's really bitter.
I didn't taste the bitterness. I'm not sure if that's what it was. It looked like it. It was a really thin slice of it.
So I've had raw shrimp a couple times. I've had amaebe in a Japanese omakase setting.
Or in Mexico, we had like aguachile.
Yeah, but that's usually like ceviche,
It's like a
right?
ceviche because it's got a lot of lime juice in the mix.
Yeah.
So it'll kind of, they start raw, but then they pour the aguachile over the top.
Yeah.
And it'll kind of cook it. The longer you let it sit there, the
like
more
a
it kind of
ceviche,
cevichizes.
right?
Yeah.
Cevichizes.
Yeah.
And so, based on the recommendation from the crew that we're working with here, Lorenzo and Kata, you got a cool name, man. We decided to try this raw shrimp dish. So it's raw shrimp, butterflied out with
Big, thick
chunks of garlic. What looked like a piece of mint, chili, some fish sauce, bitter gourd, and
like
then
a seafood chutney?
what was the sauce?
Seafood sauce.
But
They
how
call
do
it
you
seafood
say it?
sauce.
Seafood sauce. How do you say it in Thai?
Namjing seafood.
Namjin seafood.
Namjim seafood.
Namjin seafood. Of course, namjin
Because
seafood.
they don't have a word for seafood in Thai. How
Yeah.
cool is that?
Actually, we do, but we don't use it for the sauce.
You don't
Okay.
use it for the sauce.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's literally called seafood sauce. And it's not that it had seafood in it. It's just what they put on seafood.
What did you describe it as? You said something like this kind of reminds me of a fish sauce chimichurri.
Something like that.
Yeah. So
But it was just a green. It's hard to say how many things were in there.
it was so good.
Yeah.
It was really, really tasty. So you take this this seafood sauce, you pour it over top of this raw shrimp.
But it's thick. It's like a thick.
Yeah, it's it's
Pasty.
It's like a little bit thinner than a pesto, let's say.
Yeah.
But it's super herbal, garlicky, refreshing, limey, super, super good. So we tried that. We tried this beautiful sautéed beef with cold salad with like cilantro and peppers. It had big chunks of green onion. That was fantastic. Then we move on to a pomelo salad, which had little dried shrimp and toasted peanuts. I'm getting hungry again. It was these flavors in Isaan food are so
Vibrant.
bright.
Yeah. Bright,
Electric.
vibrant, refreshing. So good.
And it's like as you eat the food, it's
get hungrier.
what I want from tropical food.
Yeah. I agree.
It's refreshing. It's like you never feel heavy. Everything plays well together. It's crunchy. It's alive. It makes you feel light. And it's such a good pairing for singha, which we finally had our first singhas today for lunch as well.
We did? I thought we had them at the place yesterday too.
No.
When we sat down. What was that? What did we have then? At the outdoor place.
At the outdoor place. I don't even know where we are.
Jai Fai.
Oh, did we have? Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
we had
we did.
singhas there. Yeah, singhas are delicious. Then we moved on to a green papaya salad, which had chopped tomatoes
Some crab in there. Some fermented crab.
fermented crab.
Fermented crab
Two
and fish sauce.
things, 2 words. I never would have thought.
They had a lot of raw crab on this menu also. So
Lots
from
of raw
to
crab.
fermented.
Yeah.
We didn't have the space to fit that in, the raw crab.
We wanted to be smart about our decisions at this lunch. 1, because we have flights tomorrow. 2, because we also want to save space for what's going to be our last dinner in Thailand. But this papaya salad was also just, again, we're going back to crunchy, refreshing, little bit of spice, like really refreshing.
None of the spice has been overbearing. None of the spice has been too crazy.
Honestly,
There have been some hot things.
Yes.
There have been some hot things, but wasn't like a lingering, lasting thing.
finally we get lob. So this lob, ground pork, or did we have chicken? Pork?
Pork.
Ground pork with dried chilies, with fresh chilies, green onion that's super thinly sliced, red onion that's sliced. There's definitely some citrus and some vinegar. And it almost feels, Tony, like this is almost cevicheized too. It doesn't feel like it's stir-fried.
Really?
I'm sure they
It's
do.
cooked.
It's cooked, but I feel like it also cooks from the lime. Like it cures a little
It
bit.
can't hurt. You know, it's in there.
Oh, and then the frickin'
I had this calamari. Is that what you're going into?
yes. So I ordered what I thought was calamari with toasted garlic on top, but the calamari.
We're like, what is this texture? Is it mantis shrimp again? We're like, no, it's calamari.
It had more like it had like a squid
Meaty
flavor.
texture, but it wasn't like bouncy.
It was sweeter. Yeah. It didn't have that bouncy kind of
Chewiness to it.
The classic squid chew. It had a more firm kind of and sweet.
Yeah.
Like a sweet mantis shrimp kind of thing going on. So we're looking, and we finally figure out that we were eating squid eggs. Squid eggs.
I still can't picture what that looks like in my brain, but
squids lay eggs.
Sure.
Might as well eat them. We did. With a bunch of toasted garlic on top, and they were really, really good. I'm glad that we figured out they were squid eggs post eating them, because I'm not sure I would have ordered them going into it knowing that they were squid eggs. Because I'm such a squid freak, like I love squid, that I just wanted squid. It just looked so good with all this toasted garlic on top. Using copious amounts of sriracha throughout the entire meal, none of which tastes like the classic sriracha that we have in the States, which is super pepper, like super chili and super garlicky. I like the rooster sauce in the U.S., but it feels like the Thai sriracha is more subtle. It's a little bit sweeter.
I've been surprised with the spices and chilies in general.
Yes.
Like I get Thai spicy at home.
Yeah.
What? Let me take that back. I don't get Thai spicy at home.
Right.
I have to ratchet it down.
You ratchet
back.
But
here
the
I'm like,
spice.
well, let's just do it. We're in Thailand. Get Thai spicy.
Yeah.
And it hasn't been too much.
It's all been very tastefully spicy.
Yeah.
Now there is a build in the spice. Like you might have when we had that frog dish at Wanayuk.
That was probably the hottest thing I've had.
That was definitely the hottest thing. And I had my first bite. And I'm like, okay.
Well, they have those whole clusters of green peppers. Green peppercorn. Green peppercorns.
Like on the branch.
Yeah.
It was so cool. But like when you eat this stuff, it's like first bite. It's kind of like those dishes that you have. Those like
by the third bite, it starts to
third bite.
itself.
You're like, oh shit, that's what they meant.
Yeah.
It just builds and builds, and you start to sweat, and it's in you. It's like it's permeating your system, right? It's like there was at one point after eating that frog curry that I like felt the spice in my face. You know what I mean? Like in my brain. Then one of my favorite dishes. I first had this dish at in Vegas, actually, both at Lotus of Siam and this old Chata Thai, which was like this late night in the biz sommelier spot. They had a really sick wine list and cooking fantastic Thai food. But what is this one called again? Do you remember?
It's like you're not gonna get that one.
Kea dan dio. Nia dad dio. Nia dad dio.
So we've had this the second time we've had this.
Neo dad dio.
That's
Remember?
right.
Neo
yeah.
dad dio. Neo dad dio. And this is like looks like flank steak. It's like
kind
hot
of
beef
marinated,
jerky.
yeah, but it's
hot.
It's got more texture than beef jerky,
And it's like
it's
crispy.
got more moisture.
Yes, it is.
It tastes like cured like that to a point, but not dry.
Correct. And it's so good. And what do they bring with it?
Sriracha.
I love that shit. Neo dad dio. Like that? Yeah.
Close enough.
How do you say yes in Thai? Like yes, happy, cool. I did it. That's awesome.
We got to get him out of here. He's going native.
No, listen, man. Before you know it, I'm gonna be back here, my friend. Fantastic lunch today. Isaan food, love it. Don't like it, love it. It was fantastic. Then we stumbled down a block down the street, and we had another fantastic coffee from a fantastic coffee bar. I'm loving Thailand. I am loving Thailand. So to answer your question, Tony, it's going to be tough to say what my favorite thing I've had here was.
You know what? I've been thinking about that question a lot.
Okay.
I hate that question. Why choose? You know, we keep saying
You
like,
can have
what's
it
the
all?
best? No, but it's just situational. You know what I mean? It's like, it's all
Look,
good.
I'm
There-
gonna
it- think some things can be just as good as other things.
Very often, the hyped up places are the ones that disappoint because you
Too much
build
hype.
it up
Yeah.
in your brain. You have this idea of what it's supposed to be. It doesn't quite match your expectations. And I feel like it's the curse of the Michelin guide. Like, this place is 1 star and it's on the street, or this place is 2 star and it's ridiculous tasting. And you just go into it with like, you know, you want it to like change your life. In this case,
Your life's
Jay-
been changed.
J5 did it.
Yeah.
I loved every dish. I
The whole experience
couldn't
was fun.
believe how good it was. That crab omelet was one of the best crab dishes I've
Yeah,
ever had.
it's a keeper.
It was fantastic. But you know what? I think my favorite dish from that experience was that black pepper and toasted garlic prawn.
Okay.
It reminded me of everything.
From just that experience, not all the experiences.
It was like, okay, so imagine this prawn that's got like a really thin fried batter on it. It's got so much white pepper and black pepper in there that it's just like when you take a bite into it, like it's floral from like the pepper. And then it's got this toasted garlic on top, which is a little toothsome so it crunches in your teeth. And when I
They have
first
this
bit
like
in,
perfectly toasted garlic. Wonder how they do that. It's all like perfectly
my
toasted.
mouth's watering, my friend. My mouth's watering. So it reminded me of like my best experiences, my best remembrance of like a great KFC flavor. I'm not saying that in any way, shape, or form to discredit this experience. I'm saying it because it brought me to being a kid and having my first like epiphany experience with fried chicken and just being like, this is juicy and crunchy and I want more. And I will never forget that experience at J-Fi. I'll never forget the lady. I'll never forget not knowing how to get in line. I'll never forget talking to our Canadian friends. It was just, and I'll never forget.
And then the guy behind us was Basco.
And the guy behind us was a Basque guy who was agreeing with me about why everybody should go visit San Sebastian. And I'll never forget getting higher than I've ever been in Asia, walking through the streets and almost forgetting who I was and what my name was, and compartmentalizing it so that I wouldn't freak you out, even though you were freaking out just as much as I was.
I think we knew it wasn't going to last that long.
I didn't know. I thought it was over. What if that was going to be life from that moment on? We were living on the streets of Thailand.
We would have eaten well.
That's true. Thanks for joining the Overseason podcast. We're really loving Bangkok. Can't wait to come back. Thanks for showing
We're
us
back
around.
to Manila tomorrow. We'll record a few more podcasts there. Then it's back off homeward, wherever that is.
Hopefully the weather is nice and the pad thai, it's not going to be so nice.
It will be.
Thanks for joining us.
Bye. Thank you.
Overseason podcast was brought to you by Over Easy Office, outsourced bookkeeping solution.